Hello and welcome to a new podcast titled What I Listened to This Week. In this podcast, we talk with our amazing and super cool guests here where we listen to what they've listened to and then get to talk about that song and just experience musical diversity, challenge each other on musical genres, and just listen to some really cool music. So some ground rules that we've all kind of established for this podcast is that we're, one, all going to be open-minded as much as possible as we each have our own taste of music. Two, that it's okay to say that you didn't like a particular song, but then let's talk about why. Let's speak in a language that everyone would understand. And lastly, we're kind of going to do a little rating system. So you have to say, if you were to hear that song on a radio station, would you change the station or not? So how we're going to go about this today is we're going to introduce all of our guests here, and then we're going to each listen to a song that we've all brought up. Then we're going to talk about it. Then we're all going to chime in and just see where the conversation goes. And the person that chose that song can also give their thoughts, and then we'll end up at a closing. So to kick it off, we're going to start our introductions with Molly. Do you want to start off and tell us a little bit about what your name is, your first memory that involves music, what genres you typically listen to, and what does music mean to you?
So yeah, my name is Molly. Probably my first memory of music is, I know I did this multiple times, but I think the earliest I can remember doing it is like 3 years old. My oldest brother used to play in a band with his friends, and they would always play Master of Puppets, and I would like go running into their room and start singing it with them. So me as like a little 3-year-old used to have the entire song of Master of Puppets by Metallica memorized, and I would just go sing it with them all the time. And I'm pretty sure I did that for multiple years, and there's like pictures of me doing it and stuff. As for what music means to me, I did 7 years of choir. I really like music. I'm a big music nerd. But it's always been a way for me to also kind of communicate to other people, like not in words, kind of how I'm feeling. It's easier for me to be like, hey, go listen to this song to understand how I'm feeling, instead of let me verbalize it to you. But also for me doing choir and stuff like that, it's been a way for me to like sing my feelings and stuff as well, or just if I'm angsty or something, just release emotions by being able to just go blast some music or something like that. So yeah, that's
Cool.
me.
Awesome. Thanks, Molly. Next up is Erik.
My first real memory of music is when I was probably about 7 years old, and my mom used to play an album that she really loved that was Ahmad Jamal at the Persian, which is a sort of a famous jazz record. And it was I was living in Chicago because that's where I grew up, and she would play it all the time until it got pretty obnoxious. But she also played stuff like, she was into Sarabon, and she really loved classical music, so we listened to a lot of that. So my music memory, my earliest music memory, sort of tied in with listening to that because my mom loved it so much and would just play it over and over and over again. Music is just something that sort of keeps me level. I can always go and listen to something and get back to where I need to be as opposed to where I am at any given moment. It's my sedative, my natural sedative, or my natural muse, whichever thing I need at the time. So, and I usually listen to jazz and I listen to classical, but right now I'm doing sort of an international thing, and I'm listening to lots of music from other countries.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Erik. And Melanie.
Hi, my name is Melanie. My first music memory was probably going up to my parents' piano in their living room. My mom is a piano teacher, so I started playing piano as soon as I could reach the keys. So probably 4 or 5 years old. And so I have pretty clear memories of climbing up on the piano bench, sitting down, putting my fingers on the keys, and trying to figure out a song, probably like Frère Jacques or Mary Had a Little Lamb, one of those little kids kind of piano songs that every piano student learns early on. So I think that's where it kind of all starts for me, I think. And then, I played music my whole life. I got a degree in music, and it was a big part of a lot of my early adulthood, I would say, especially from like a career standpoint and more than a hobby, because I was getting a degree in it and working jobs that had to do with music. So it's definitely been a huge chunk of my life. For me now, where it's not necessarily what I get paid to do every day, it's really more of an escape, I think. Whether I'm playing music or whether I'm listening to music, I think when I'm happy, sad, mad, whatever, angry, I think music is what can kind of take me out of those emotions and sort of recenter me and allow me. I think a lot of people do things like meditation or exercise, or they go for a run. I think for me, music sort of helps me level set and really figure out the emotions that I'm feeling and kind of get out of my head for a little bit. And in terms of genres, I feel like I'm all over the place. I love jazz. I grew up playing jazz, so I love it. I love indie rock, indie folk. I love kind of 70s rock and roll too. So I'm definitely kind of all over the spectrum, and we'll probably see that in the show.
Cool, thank you. And I'm Sergio. So I'll kind of give maybe two memories. One of my first memories is growing up. My dad would drive my sister and I to school, and I remember every now and then he would bring out a cassette tape, and it was Phantom of the Opera, and we would play it on the way to school, and it was just captivating. Just the whole range of everything that goes on in that song. I just loved it, and I still love Phantom of the Opera today. And then second is growing up, I had a little stereo with a built-in radio in my room, and I remember I wasn't allowed to listen to hip hop at all. So I found I think it was KS 107.5 at the time, and there was a song that at the time I didn't know what it was called, and it was Miss Jackson by Outkast, and I had recorded it onto a cassette tape. And then I would just play it on loop all the time without my mom knowing. And it wasn't until later that I found out what that song was called. And I still love listening to it. In terms of what genres I listen to, I started mostly listening to like rap and hip hop. And then I kind of went into like a metal phase for a while. And then I transitioned into Latin jazz, which is really weird. And then ever since then, I listen to a little bit of everything. And in terms of what music means to me, I think it's a good way to explore different cultures, to be open about, just everything. It's good to kind of challenge yourself and experience something new and just see where it takes you. And similar to what some of you have also said, it's a sedative, and it's also like there's a certain music for a certain mood, and it just kind of, I don't know, it's just nice. I'm glad that we have music. So with that said, why don't we listen to the first song on the playlist? And I believe the first song that we are going to listen to is El Invento by Jose Gonzalez.
Y para agradecer lo extraño de simplemente ser fuerza singular, compleja en su calma y tempestad. Dime, ¿por qué será? Dime, ¿por dónde vas? Dime. Y en el amanecer, cuando todo va cambiando de color y vemos aparecer un mundo lleno de belleza y de dolor. Dime, ¿por qué será? Dime, ¿por dónde vas? Dime, ¿de dónde somos? Dime. Y dime, ¿por qué será? Dime, ¿en dónde estamos? Dime, ¿por qué? Y por pertenecer a la gente del libro, pretendiendo entender los enigmas del universo. Dime, ¿por qué será? Dime, ¿por dónde vas? Dime, ¿de dónde somos? Dime, dime, y dime, ¿por qué será? Dime, ¿en dónde estamos? Dime, ¿por qué?
So I think it was Melanie who chose that
Yeah,
song.
and that sounded a little weird to me. Like the vocals were kind of underwater. So I don't know if it was, I don't know, just came through my headphones a little weird. So the vocals weren't super clear. But yeah, so I chose the song partially because I saw Jose Gonzalez on Tuesday live for the first time. I've been trying to track him down and see him live for 15 or 20 years. So it was a big bucket list item for me. But that song is a new release. It's off of his latest record, which just came out earlier this year, late last year. And what's interesting about it is that his older records are mostly in English. So he's Argentinian Swedish, and he grew up in Sweden, but he has an Argentinian background. But most of his music has been in English up until this record, and he actually has a few songs in Spanish and a couple of songs in Swedish. And it's interesting to kind of hear him sing in his native languages because he's never really released a lot of music like that before. And one of the reasons why he recorded this song and wrote it in Spanish is because he had a daughter a few years ago. I think she's 4 or 5 now. And when he had her, he wanted to teach her his native language. And so he started speaking to her in Spanish. And so because of that, then he started writing music in Spanish. And so it sort of came out of that, teaching his young daughter how to speak his native language. And the song itself, if you translate the lyrics to English, it's very much like an existential song. It's talking a lot about like, why are we here? You know, what is the meaning of a lot of this? It's sort of questions that he thinks about now that he has a daughter, and questions that he's been thinking about a lot, I think, because of having a kid, the whole pandemic. It's a lot of things that we're all kind of thinking about. And so, and sort of where do we all come from? And I think of it as a very meditative song. It's sort of repetitive in the guitar riff. And so it sort of just allows you to like close your eyes and just kind of think about sort of those bigger questions that we all have.
Who wants to chime in? Go for it, Molly.
So when it first started, the first thing that popped into my head was How to Train Your Dragon 1. I don't remember. I think it's the beginning of Sticks and Stones, like the ending credit song. It has a very similar vibe to me, is like what it sounded like, and it made me so happy because that is one of my favorite movies. And I love the soundtrack from those movies too, but just like not even just Sticks and Stones, but a lot of other music from that, just the kind of calming vibe, and so many other different things. It reminded me of that movie, and it was just
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I would agree. I felt very like meditative during that as I was listening to the song. And I'll say that I normally don't like. Well, I won't say I don't like. I won't listen to as much of like American folk. I think like how slow it is sometimes just makes me sleepy. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I'll listen to it in like other like languages. And this one was like it didn't put me to sleep. It made me just like pay attention to what he was saying. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was really nice.
I sort of thought it was like, it reminded me kind of Spanish Nick Drake.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think Nick Drake is a big influence for Jose Gonzalez, so that definitely tracks for sure.
Yeah,
I have no idea who
and
Nick Drake is.
Who's Nick Drake?
Nick Drake
I
is
don't
I'm sorry.
No, that's
No, I
fine. That's
don't
the
know
point
who
of
it
this
is.
podcast.
Who's Nick Drake?
Nick Drake is a sort of an ill-fated musical genius from the late 60s, early 70s, who did some remarkable work but was never appreciated during his lifetime, and eventually overdosed on cough syrup when he was like 26 years old.
Wow.
Yes.
But he wrote some incredible songs in that period of time. And he has some albums, Five Leaves Left, Pink Moon. He wrote one of my favorite songs in the entire world called Riverman.
Oh my God, that is like one of my top 10 favorite songs ever.
And he's just, that song, the Jose Gonzalez song, reminded me of Nick Drake. He's sort of, he's folky in the folk tradition, but he was trying to do something different, and he just was never appreciated during his lifetime. But after he died, unfortunately, he's much better known now than when he was alive.
Yeah, I think that Garden State movie put some of his songs on their soundtrack. And so then I feel like some people found out about him through that. But yeah, definitely underappreciated British folk guy. But yeah.
So what genre would this be considered?
Jose Gonzalez?
Yeah.
I think he's usually categorized as indie folk of some sort. Definitely, a lot of his songs are just him and a guitar, so it's pretty simple and straightforward. So I think that's probably the largest genre that, like, umbrella genre that I can think of that I would categorize him under.
Okay. Yeah, I thought his Spanish was like excellent. I never would have thought that he's part Swedish.
Yeah, and when you hear him talk, you hear his accent as somebody who probably grew up speaking Spanish but hasn't really spoken it since he has been an adult. So it's
Wow.
interesting.
Yeah. So any other thoughts or comments?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Would not skip it unless I was driving like late at night and feeling tired.
Yeah.
Like, it would put me to sleep
Yeah.
in the good way.
Yeah.
Like, it would the lullaby to sleep of just peacefulness.
For sure.
Not good while driving.
Yeah. What about you, Erik? Would you skip the song?
No, I would definitely, I would play it. I used to have a job where I was a delivery driver, and I would drive hundreds of miles every other Friday out to the eastern plains of Colorado. And I would either listen to podcasts or I would listen to music. And that would be a song that I would put in my playlist if I had heard it. Because it would just be great driving music, because you'd be sort of listening and meditating while you're driving.
Yeah, and I would not skip it. So I think that you have found a success.
All right. Hey, nice. Awesome.
All right, next up is a song titled I Ran Down Every Dream by Tommy McLain and Elvis Costello.
Wow.
I remember a long time ago, records sent me reeling, falling in and out of love. Music, it kept interfering. When we were young, we'd set the world on fire, change everyone's opinion. Now the world's made me alive, from a hero to the villain. But I ran down every dream. I swear I had the best intention. Best intention. I ran down every dream. Some good, some bad, some we shall not ever mention. Ever mention, ever mention again. And I recall when time stood still. Now the clock is ticking. I've seen so many dreams disappear, forgotten like rhymes that I've written. But that's my life. Hey, how about you? Do you find yourself forgiven? When I wake up with a brand new tune, that's how I know I'm still living. And I ran down every dream. I swear I had the best intention. Best intention. I ran down every dream. Some good, some bad, some we shall not ever mention. Ever mention, ever mention again. I remember.
So yeah, that was song was "I Ran Down Every Dream" by Tommy McLain and Elvis Costello. So I pulled some of this from Wikipedia and some from Rolling Stone, but I actually found this song from Reddit. I was browsing the music subreddit, and there was some thread about what music should you listen to, and this guy came up, and Tommy McLain was born in March 15th of 1940 in Jonesville, Louisiana, and he's an American swamp pop musician. And I was like, what the hell is swamp pop?
Swamp pop?
Swamp pop. So I had no idea this was a genre.
Pop.
But swamp pop, according to Wikipedia, is a music genre that's indigenous to the Arcadiana region of South Louisiana and an adjoining section of Southeast Texas. So it was created in the 1950s by young Cajuns and Creoles that combines New Orleans style rhythm and blues, country and western, and traditional French Louisiana musical influences together. So Tommy McLain, this is actually from his first album in 40 years. He was obviously really popular a long time ago. And from this Rolling Stone article, it said that work on the song began 4 years ago, but it was interrupted by a heart attack, a pandemic, 3 hurricanes, and a fire all in his house. But all along, he kept working on new tunes.
Someone wanted him to not make that song, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. But yeah, I was listening to it a lot this week, and I think maybe just a lot of what he was saying in the song just kind of resonated with me about, chasing dreams. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Sometimes you don't ever want to talk to them again, but you want to keep chasing them, and you want to keep trying, regardless of how they might work out in the end. And I don't know, it just hit me in an emotional state, I would say. And I just kind of liked his like kind of old timey raspy voice. And I just, yeah, the more I listened to it, the more I loved it. So anyway, what do you guys think?
Well, anything that has Elvis Costello in it has my vote. So I was pretty excited about that. It's sort of, it's like an automatic win for me. I don't know about anybody else, but immediately I was picturing a flashback scene in a movie or a TV show where they're thinking back to, oh, remember in the 1950s when we used to do this and we would slow dance at the church hall, and that was sort of the vibe that I got, which I thought that was really, like, I appreciated the kind of old-timey feel of it. I really liked that. I was kind of on the same page with you, Sergio, with liking that old-timey feel. I guess if I had a criticism, it felt a little long, and I don't know if that's just because of the sort of the repetitive style of the instrumentals, and maybe it just felt like it was an extra like 20 seconds too long or something. But I think that would be my only criticism. Really, I enjoyed it. I would definitely keep listening if it was on the radio and sort of see how it played out.
Erik, what do you think?
I liked it. When I heard Elvis Costello was going to be on it, I was like, okay. But yeah, it was an old-fashioned slow dance song. When I heard Swamp Pop, I'm thinking, I don't know, Creedence Clearwater Run Through the Jungle, or Tony Joe White, Poke Salad Annie, or something more like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when this guy comes out with this really sort of almost roller skating song, it was a lot different than what I expected, but I love the lyrics. I love the feeling that he put into it, so I would keep listening to it.
And Molly?
For me, I really liked it. It reminded me a lot of some of the stuff I sang when I did jazz choir. And it's interesting for me because I don't know if I would necessarily listen to it a whole bunch on the radio. Like, it's something I might skip depending on the mood I was in. Like, I'd probably lean towards skipping depending on the mood I was in. But it's the kind of music that I would love to sing and enjoyed singing in jazz choir. Like, a lot of those different things I enjoyed singing but didn't necessarily listen to. It's kind of in that vein for me, I think, of I would rather sing it and would enjoy singing it rather than listen to it. But, like, would enjoy listening to it in certain moods.
All right. And if it was on the radio, would you skip it?
Again, would depend on the mood. If I'm, like, tired driving, probably yes. If I'm, like, energetic and just kind of vibing or something, probably wouldn't skip it.
All right. Any other comments?
I would have expected something a little more upbeat for Swamp Pop, but now I'm very intrigued, and I want to do a Swamp Pop deep dive and figure out what this music genre is all about.
What all is in Swamp Pop?
Right, and I want to figure out how this song fits into the Swamp Pop genre. Like, I want to see what other stuff sounds like, and then compare it.
Well, maybe next week, or whenever we meet next, we can make a
Swamp Pop song, yeah.
All right, so the next song up is titled Map of Dusk by Bombay Dub Orchestra.
I'm excited for this already.
And that was Map of Dusk by Bombay Dub Orchestra. And I believe this was Eric's choice.
Yeah, I like this musical group. Actually, it's just a couple of composers and their sound guy who have put together this sort of. To me, it always sounds like the soundtrack from India and the Middle East and a little dub combined together, sort of like if you were watching a movie from some country that you didn't know where it was from, and this was the soundtrack, you're like, oh, okay. I don't know where this is from, but it sounds pretty cool. And this is one of their shorter songs, so this is why I chose this one, because we didn't want to be here like, 10 minutes. You could chill out, and we'd all look like we had just passed out. But I like this group, and I like this music because it's very imaginative, but it's very calming at the same time.
I'd actually like to hop off of that if we're going to
Go for it.
comments. So the first thing that came to my head after a little bit of listening to it is I actually have a playlist on Spotify for when I'm having, like when I'm feeling really anxious or like kind of panicky or anything like that. I almost immediately I felt like that song would be perfect to put in my playlist because it's just so like calming and soothing, and it has like a little bit of the repetitiveness to it, but like in a good way, to just kind of help with that calming feeling. And then with like this, there's like some nature sounds in there too. That's just, again, just adds to that whole sensation of sorry, of just being able to like calm down and just be able to sit there in this like calm environment.
It's a great chill music.
Yeah, super chill. As soon as I heard it, I could picture it on my chill playlist or I love this kind of music when I'm writing or when I'm working because I'm not paying attention. It's like complex enough that my brain can sort of shut down and not really like try to figure every little thing out, but at the same time it's not like there's all these crazy complex lyrics going on that I'm trying to decipher. But one thing that I love about it is that it was super relaxing, very chill. I could just see myself, sitting on the couch, eyes closed, relaxing to this tune. But at the same time, I found myself like moving in my chair, and I was like, I kind of want to dance a little bit, even though it's chill. I kind of want to do like this chill dance. So I love like the beat was great. I love the strings that came in. I would be super interested in listening to some of the longer tracks. It definitely reminds me of when I worked a radio show and I had to go to the bathroom and I needed to like put a song on while I do that. And it needs to be like, like 10 minutes or something so I could run down the hall and then come back. Right. It definitely kind of reminds me of some of that kind of music from way back when. But yeah, I really love it. And I would definitely dig into this a little bit more for sure.
And that one's from the Three Cities album.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 Cities.
Yeah.
Can we link all the songs into the Slack later?
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just make an ongoing playlist.
Yeah, I think that's the best idea. I love it.
2-week playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll echo similar sentiments. I think it was very chill. This kind of reminded me of I don't know what they're called, but like on YouTube, there's like certain videos that are just like repetitive, like chill music, but then there's like the same animation that just kind of keeps playing on.
Yeah.
And I could like visualize, I don't know, just like that being there. But also like actually when I went to go check my phone to see how far in the song we were, I was like, oh, the song was Map of Dusk, and I felt like being in Bombay in Dusk. Like it felt like this would be like a Dusk song, which, if that's what Dusk sounds like, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
And similar to Melanie, I kind of wanted to kind of close my eyes and just kind of like glide around and just kind of, I don't know.
Do one of those like hippie dances
yeah,
or
like,
just like floating.
Yeah, just, I don't know. It was very kind of like ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it belongs in Animal Crossing.
Well, so I guess the question is if this would play on the radio, would you skip it? Again, I think it would depend. If this was like if I was driving at night, I don't think I could listen to it. But I think similar to Molly, just depending on the mood and stuff, I would definitely like to listen to this again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I was very sleepy, I might have to change it, but it reminds me of a lot of tracks on that. I don't know if you listen to the Jazz Odyssey on Kubo Jazz, but they play. I feel like this would fit right in with that show, and that's always on late at night. So I guess if I was sleepy, maybe I'd have to change it, but I'd have to be pretty tired, I think, to change it because I really really like it.
Yeah, if I was tired, would probably skip it, but at the same time, like, if I just want to go for a drive and adventure at nighttime, I feel like this would be one of the perfect songs to do that.
Yeah.
And to just go, like, just drive around at night and just relax, I feel like this would be a really great song for it. Driving home from work would probably skip it. If really tired and not wanting to fall asleep yet, then would probably skip it, but I can see a lot of different instances where I wouldn't skip it.
All right. Thanks, Erik. And last but not least, the song is called Apollo by Thomas Bergersen.
It starts really quiet.
decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
So that was Apollo by Thomas Bergersen, and I believe Molly chose a song.
Yeah. So.
Bonus track.
So when I was trying to pick songs for this week, I was like going through my repeat playlist, and Apollo is one of the ones that I listen to a lot of the time. It's like, yeah, I wanna show off this one. So Thomas Bergersen he's one of the composers for Two Steps from Hell, and they're what's called epic orchestral, and they'll do they do game trailer music, or like movie trailer music, or just epic orchestral music. And when COVID hit, so Thomas Bergersen does a lot of his own stuff aside from Two Steps from Hell. Like, it's a very similar vein, but it's just under a different name. And when COVID hit, he was not going to stop writing music. So he started coming out with different humanity chapters. Albums is what they're called. And it's like each album is a different chapter of humanity. And I believe, if I remember correctly, this one was chapter 3, and it was the songs are basically about space and humanity going to space, and so each song has that. But to me, with Apollo specifically, the way the song just grows to me is so cool, especially when it does the countdown and then the music just kind of explodes in its own way. To me, that is one of my favorite things I have ever heard in a song. Like, that specific moment is one of my favorite things that I have ever heard musically. So yeah, I wanted to bring that and share that with people, because not a lot of, like, you hear a lot of stuff because of movie trailers and stuff like that, but Two Steps from Hell and, like, Thomas Bergersen, I don't think get enough recognition for the type of music that they make, because to me, I think it's very cool and very epic, like in the name.
Yeah, I definitely thought this should be in a movie. I don't know. Did anyone else feel
Yeah,
that way?
cinematic was like the first word I thought of as soon as it started. I was like, if this isn't either video game like music or cinema movie music, then I will be shocked. So yeah, but I love the term epic orchestral. That's so on point for what that is. That's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard that before, that genre or terminology. I love it.
It's so good. I love it so much.
Yeah, it kind of felt like being part of Armageddon.
You could like feel Apollo landing on the moon.
Sort of really appropriate for what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Because, Artemis is going in Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was thinking, there's a television program I really like called For All Mankind, which is sort of an alternate history of the space program.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
And it would fit in like perfect right there. And it was good hearing Jack Kennedy, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I normally listen to this type of music, like, if I want to focus, or which kind of falls along with like video game soundtracks or just soundtracks in general. Sometimes helps me focus, and I'm like, this, or maybe even like working out. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
thinking
gonna
working
say
out.
like either
running
running,
time.
I think it would fit really well in a running playlist, or like if you're doing some like real serious weight training and you're like just really trying to like get over that hump, and like I feel like that's what it would motivate me to do, 10 more reps. I don't know what I would think if I heard this on the radio, though. I'd be like, what is going on? Because you don't hear this on the radio very often, right? So I'm curious, how did you discover it? I mean, this isn't something, like I said, it's not something you'd hear on the radio. So how did you come across it?
I'm trying to remember. When did I discover it? It was so long ago. So the first time I heard Two Steps from Hell was not my oldest brother, my other brother, who's older than me. He loved playing Dark Souls, and he would play one of their albums like on repeat because it fits so well with the Dark Souls game he was playing. So I don't know how he found it, but he had like the CD or something, and he was like, yeah, here you go. And me and my family just started to listen to it all the time. It was one of their older albums. And as like Spotify became a thing and stuff like that, we started to listen to more and more. And like on America's Got Talent, there was a year, I don't know if any of you saw like Kenichi Abina, like the dancing dude. He did I don't remember which one it was exactly. I think it was For the Win. They have a song called For the Win that was like his final winning performance. And we just kind of started to see them more and more and more. And then like started following them on Spotify and just kept on listening to all this different stuff. And it's just become like a big part of my family now is like Two Steps from Hell and Thomas Bergersen. Like one of Thomas Bergersen's songs we actually played at like my great-grandfather's funeral and stuff. So
Wow.
it's like, there's so many different moods. So it's all epic orchestral, but there's so many different moods that exist within that like it's been used for so many different things within my family.
I did think when you first said that he was from Two Steps from Hell, I immediately thought that was going to be like metal.
Yeah, that's
And
what I thought.
I was like a little bit
Yeah.
excited, and then like I was like, whoa, like
Yeah.
this is not
This is
at
not
all
metal.
what I thought. Yeah, like what's going on? But no, I don't know what I would think if I listened to this on the radio either. I think I could not listen to it while I'm driving in the dark. I think certain moods like running, studying, working out, pumping iron. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere like I need to feel epic.
Yeah.
Something like that. I think it'd be really cool to listen to again.
Yeah, I liked it, and yeah, but it would cause me to drive aggressively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely speeding. I can see that happening for
Oh,
sure
yeah.
while listening to that song.
There's been some times where it's like I'm listening to it and then I look at how fast I'm going and I just like quietly skip it and slow down.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense.
Well, I think that wraps up all the songs that we have for tonight. Does anyone have any final comments or thoughts before we wrap it up?
Music is good. Yay, music.
I just love how we, without being prompted, we all brought something that all of us didn't know, which was kind of cool. I don't think that'll happen every time, but I thought that was pretty neat, especially for the first time. And I also loved how everything was so different. I think that's really, like, all four of those songs were complete ends of each, like, spectrum. It was totally different, so I thought that was pretty neat.
Sergio and I were talking last night about, and it was just something that came to me. It was like, well, what if some of us have the same song? That didn't happen.
No, we didn't all show up with Beyonce. So.
Well, if it does happen, you should still listen to the song. That's even pretty rare, I would think.
Yeah, right.
Maybe pre-screen, like send of like, this is the song I'm wanting to do this week. And then that way we know ahead of time.
Yeah.
I guess just for all of those listening or watching, we did not know ahead of time what each were picking. We just said, hey, let's just pick a random song that you've listened to. And that's what we listened to this week, which has been, as you said, Melanie, just, I love the diversity and different genres, stuff that I guess I would normally not listen to, but would want to explore more of. So, any other comments?
Have a backup song.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
We'll each have a backup song in case one of us or two of us have the same song, or maybe we all
Be your
do.
song for the next week.
All right. Well, thanks all of you for being here, and thanks for all for sharing and listening to new music. For all those listening, we will see you next time. And a rule for the next time we meet: you must bring a song that is a different genre of what you chose this time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.
Whoa.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.